pantry, our supper program, and clothing. As I said, that's been especially true during the pandemic when a lot of people have suffered the economic impact of the pandemic. We also get a lot of inquiries in our Cicero office about our immigration program as well.
And right when the pandemic started, Mike, you started a very well-organized distribution of pre-packed free meals on Tuesdays from St. Francis of Rome School in Cicero. Is that still going this fall? And how did that distribution work?
Yes, it's going very well. So I moved to our Cicero office about a year and a half ago, and one of our priorities at that time was to start a weekly supper program similar to what we have at a number of our other offices. The pandemic came along, forced us to put those plans on hold. In October, we decided we want to move ahead anyway, and so we're doing a drive-through distribution of pre-packed hot meals once a week. We've been giving away 125 meals a week, and it's going very well, thanks to the support of St. Francis of Rome Parish. And we hope to move indoors for a seated congregate meal as soon as circumstances allow. Hopefully before the winter sets in.
You also worked with the Clyde Park District to have a curbside pickup of meals on Mondays during the summer. And then you also did a pop-up food pantry with St. Mary of Czestochowa in Cicero. These food distributions require, large volunteer assistance component. Would you like to give a shout out to some of the parishes and the schools and neighbors who've partnered with you to make these events happen, Mike?
Oh, sure. I'd love to. The parishes in the west suburbs have been a wonderful source of support for us. In the early stages of the pandemic, when our food pantry demand tripled, you may recall that it was hard to find certain grocery items on the shelves, and we had the same trouble finding enough food for our food pantry. So, and this at a time when our demand was way up. A number of parishes did food drives for us. St. Luke Parish and St. Vincent Ferrer, which are both in River Forest, did drive-through food drives for us, which were very innovative and very helpful. A number of other parishes and schools also did food drives, and those helped us keep our food pantry shelves stocked at a time when we really needed it. We're also always trying to get more fruits and vegetables for our food pantry, so we decided to start our own vegetable garden at the Cicero office. And the Knights of Columbus from Ascension Parish in Oak Park built the beds for our garden and hauled all the dirt in and filled them. And then we have a separate group of volunteers who planted and tend and harvest the garden. So that's been a wonderful source of fresh vegetables for our food pantry. St. Mary Parish in Riverside is a monthly sponsor of our supper program and does regular food drives for us. They do a coat drive every winter. I mentioned St. Francis of Rome in Cicero, which is across the street from our office. They're kind of a home away from home for us. They host our supper program and our annual health fairs, and they hosted a pop-up produce distribution event last September. And they've also been a wonderful source of volunteers for our programs. There are just so many examples of ways in which we partner with parishes. I could go on forever, but they're a wonderful source of support for us, and we couldn't do what we do without them.
That creative effort by the Knights of Columbus was especially inspiring. That it reminded me of Midwest farming, right? That if the products aren't going to be in our grocery stores, we're just going to grow them, and we're going to find a way to grow them. And they did that in the back of your Cicero office. Am I right? Isn't that where the gardening beds are?
Yeah, it's in our backyard. Our office is a former convent, and so we have some property. We have a bit of a yard. And so we have 7 raised beds there where we have volunteers who are growing vegetables. They've been doing it in stages. They planted some early crops that we've already harvested. And because our clientele is largely Latinx, the volunteers have been trying to plant culturally appropriate vegetables as well. So that's been wonderful.
After the pandemic is long gone, Mike, I can't help but think that story in particular will be in the West Regional office history. Am I right?
Yeah, we're very proud of that initiative. It was an initiative one of our regional board members really helped conceive and has gotten behind. And she's been one of the regular volunteers who has been helping tend the garden. So it's a wonderful example of everybody working together to help further the mission of Catholic Charities.
And how is your food pantry doing now? I know some of the other regions were experiencing for a while 2 and 3 times the number of clients coming to the food pantry, many of whom who had never needed assistance before. How are you seeing the crowds or the number of clients in your food pantry now and your shelf stocking? Has it been alleviated some, Mike?
Yeah, we no longer have problems really stocking the shelves, so that's good. And that was for the first few months of the pandemic. But yes, we, like many other food pantries in Catholic Charities and elsewhere, we saw a dramatic increase when the pandemic first started. You may recall that everything shut down on a weekend in March of 2020. And that Monday morning, we literally had a line wrapped around the corner waiting to get into our food pantry. Our demand tripled for the first 2 or 3 months of the pandemic. It has leveled off a little bit. We're still ahead of where we normally would be in terms of clients served, but it's down closer to normal levels. Many of these were first-time clients, like you said. These, Cicero is a working-class community. A lot of folks there are in service industry types of jobs, restaurants, hotels, that kind of thing. So they were immediately affected by the pandemic. A lot of these are good, hardworking people, but so many of them just live paycheck to paycheck. And for people like that, 1 or 2 missed paychecks can be disastrous. It can put them into a hole that they have a really hard time digging out of. And so they turn to our food pantry, many of them for the first time. Getting $100 worth of food, which they might get for a family of 4, that means that's $100 now that they have available to spend on rent or transportation. And so it's a big help for them.
Sounds like you've done a tremendous job filling that critical need. We're going to take a break here on The Voice of Charity, and when we return, we're going to continue to talk with Michael J. Waters about the West Regional Office of Catholic Charities. Please stay tuned.
The 2021 AIDS 5K Run and Walk is back in Chicago, and Catholic Charities is gathering a team of participants to support this popular event. You can participate remotely, right from your own neighborhood, on Saturday, October 2nd, as we get some great exercise while we raise awareness and funds for the AIDS Foundation of Chicago and more than 30 community partners who support Chicagoans living with HIV. For 35 years, the AIDS Foundation of Chicago has helped people affected by HIV and AIDS to ensure that they have access to the best health care possible. They also assist with housing, food, and other basic necessities, and educate the public about the impact of HIV/AIDS in Illinois. 90% of what we raise as a team comes directly back to helping Catholic Charities HIV clients. Join the fund in support of Catholic Charities and the HIV community. Call 847-782-4265 today. That's 847-782-4265.
Catholic Charities Veterans Employment Services help veterans find and maintain employment through job readiness training, resume writing assistance, mock interviews, and job placement counseling. We work with a wide array of employers and community partners to help veterans reach their career goals. We owe a debt of gratitude to all of our veterans for the sacrifices they made to serve our nation. It is our privilege now to assist them. To learn more about Catholic Charities Veterans Employment Program in Cook County, call 773-808-2954. In Lake County, call 847-782-4219. You can also learn more at CatholicCharities.net. To all United States veterans, thank you for your service.
Welcome back to The Voice of Charity. I'm Katie Bredemann, and it's my great pleasure today to be here with Michael J. Waters, who is the director of Catholic Charities West Regional Office. Mike, before the break, we were talking about the many ways that your office has been helping people who are experiencing food insecurity. Can you please share with us some of the other care coordination that you supervise to help people with a variety of other needs?
Sure. So we have a care coordination program, which is a wonderful program. As you might imagine, trying to navigate the web of social service that's available can be overwhelming. It's complex, it can be confusing. So we have a caseworker who helps clients on that journey. Our care coordination caseworkers can help connect people with healthcare, financial assistance, food stamps, counseling, legal assistance, whatever it is that they need in their current situation. It's kind of like having a companion with you on a difficult journey, and it's a wonderful program.
You also mentioned earlier in the show about immigration and naturalization services. Can you explain what some of those might entail?
Sure. Our immigration program provides quality, low-cost legal and immigration services for things like citizen applications, and a replacement or renewal of legal permanent resident cards. We also provide outreach to educate residents and communities on their rights and the benefits to which they're entitled. It's one of the most requested programs in our Cicero office because of the large Latinx population in that community.
Well, and oftentimes the clients don't even know how to begin, right? The U.S. immigration policies are quite complex, and they're individualized for each person's circumstances. You know, on a national level, right? We know that it's still a problem, and so it's so great that your office is able to help them walk that journey and get in touch with the right folks to help them begin the process of becoming a citizen or at least getting a green card. Am I right?
Yes. It's as you said, it's a very complicated, overwhelming process, and it can be daunting for people. Also, unfortunately, there are a number of unscrupulous attorneys out there who will prey on people who need immigration services, and so our immigration caseworkers can provide a dependable, trustworthy source of that sort of support.
Mike, on a happier note, you've mentioned that your West Regional Advisory Board has been a huge sense of support for all your programs and services. And then you mentioned in particular one time last Christmas when they were there for the low-income families of St. Mary of Cell. Can you explain a little bit of what the advisory board, the clever way they came up with to help those families celebrate Christmas during a very bleak Christmas for many people?
Sure. So our regional advisory board is a group of people who support Catholic Charities through service and ambassadorship and fundraising. They're a wonderful group of folks who do so much for us. St. Mary of Cell in Berwyn, we have an early childhood center. It also provides before and after school care for school children, primarily low-income families, families who may struggle to provide a good Christmas for their children because they're focused on putting food on the table and making sure they get their rent paid. So our regional advisory board puts on a Christmas party every year for the kids in that program. They buy gifts for the children, several gifts for each child. We have a party with activities and games and songs, and one of our board members dresses as Santa Claus and comes and gives out gifts to the children. The kids love it, and the parents are grateful for the support. And it's just one example of what our regional boards do to support our mission.
Well, in 18 months now into all of us living with the pandemic and different degrees of urgency and seriousness, are there key aspects to how you supervise your programs and services, Mike, that you think have been fundamental to your ability to keep providing services to clients throughout this very long time?
Yeah, so we, as I mentioned with the food pantry, we saw a significant demand for a lot of our services after the pandemic started. Financial assistance, help with rent and utilities, food, clothing, counseling. A lot of people have suffered emotional and psychological impact from the pandemic, and so we've seen an increase in requests for counseling services. So we knew that it was imperative that we continue to provide those services in a way that was as safe as possible for our clients and our staff and our volunteers. With our food pantries, I mean, literally overnight, as soon as the pandemic hit, we remade our procedures so that clients got pre-packed bags rather than coming in to shop. With our clothing room, we could no longer let clients into the building, but we figured out ways to get them the clothing that they needed. This past winter, for example, we gave away more than 1,000 winter coats to our clients through distribution through our food pantry. Um, our counseling programs and casework programs have been seeing clients remotely as much as possible, but making sure we take a lot of extra precautions when we meet with them in person. And so through those ways, we've been able to make sure our clients' needs are met in a way that's as safe as possible. And I'm just incredibly proud of what our staff has done, the courage and dedication that they've shown during this pandemic.
It sounds like you've done a phenomenal job of pivoting in many different ways to make sure client needs, whatever those needs are, continue to be met. We're going to take another break here on The Voice of Charity, and when we return, we're going to continue our conversation with Mike Waters, Regional Director of Catholic Charities West Regional Office.
In recent weeks, many people have reached out to Catholic Charities to ask what we are doing to help our Afghan brothers and sisters. They also ask how they can join us in our work. Current estimates suggest that 50,000 refugees are headed to our shores in the coming weeks. Based on a decade of experience in refugee resettlement, we predict that it will cost $50,000 to resettle a family of 4 for 6 months. This includes housing, food, clothing, and other urgent needs as they establish new lives in Chicago. As Jesus tells us, "Whatsoever you do for the least of my people, that you do unto me." Please assist us as we welcome the first 10 families. Visit CatholicCharities.net to donate to our special refugee resettlement appeal, or call 312-948-6087.
Are you looking for quality, affordable childcare at this back-to-school time of year? Look no further than Catholic Charities Child Development Centers. We have 2 locations conveniently located in Berwyn and Summit, offering before and after-school care, as well as full-day childcare. Each center offers a safe, welcoming environment where children receive a nutritious breakfast, lunch, and snack while participating in a creative, age-appropriate curriculum that is challenging and fun. Preschoolers enjoy art, music, literature, and computer activities, while our school-age program includes homework help, art, sports, music, field trips, and more. Catholic Charities staff members are highly qualified, caring people who want the very best for every child. Our child care centers are especially popular with working parents. Enroll your child today. To learn more, visit CatholicCharities.net/childdevelopment or call 312-636-5398. That's 312-636-5398.
Welcome back to The Voice of Charity. I'm Katie Bredemann, and I'm delighted to be speaking today with Mike Waters, who is Catholic Charities West Regional Office Director. Mike, can you please share a few stories with us about people whose lives have improved by working with you and your staff?
Sure, I'd be happy to do that. I think the most compelling stories that we're able to offer of client success stories are the people for whom we've not only met an immediate need for housing or food or clothing, but also have helped get them back on the path to self-sufficiency. I recall one client, she came to us, she was a Navy veteran. Her mother passed away. She found herself caring for her developmentally disabled brother. And then a month later, she suffered a pretty severe injury that prevented her from working. Because she didn't have any paid time off benefits at her job, she lost her job and wound up losing her apartment and becoming homeless. She called the Veterans Administration, which referred her to our Supportive Services for Veterans Families program. And our caseworker in that program helped her find a place to live. The program provided her with food and financial assistance and financial counseling, household budgeting, and allowed her to get her life back on track. And as a result, she's now doing very well and back standing on her own. Another story of a young mother. She had two boys, ages 5 and 7, who was able to find the strength to leave an abusive relationship, which is a testament to her courage and independence. She was referred to our New Hope Apartments program, which also helped provide her with housing, but also with the support and encouragement she needed to start a new life. She now has a restaurant job and is in college working on her bachelor's degree. And her dream is to own her own restaurant. And her goal of sending her children to college is now attainable. So those are the kinds of things that we're most proud of.
Those are wonderful stories, like you said, of not only fulfilling an immediate need, but helping people regain their composure and their thoughts about the future. And like you said, still knowing that they can have dreams to be fulfilled. That's really wonderful what you and your team do, Mike. May I ask how long you've worked for Catholic Charities and what you like best about being a regional director?
I've been with Catholic Charities about 7.5 years, about 1.5 years in my current role in Cicero. Before that, I was in our Des Plaines office. I think what I like best about the job is being reminded every day how much good there is in the world. You know, whether it's our clients who maintain such amazing grace and dignity in the face of hardship, our dedicated staff, compassionate and hardworking, our volunteers who give of themselves freely every day, their time to help support our mission. And our financial supporters, our donors who make it possible to do what we do. Every day in so many ways, I come into contact with good people, and it's very fulfilling and very life reaffirming.
If anyone in our audience, Mike, would like to volunteer in the West Regional Office, can you share what some of those opportunities might be and how they could reach out and contact you or someone on your team?
Sure. We use volunteers in our food pantry, working with clients, helping get them the food they need. In our clothing room, we have an after-school tutoring program that we're resuming this fall. We also use volunteers for administrative support. We operate with a fairly lean staff to make sure that we plow as much money as possible back into programs. So there are a number of ways for people to volunteer, depending on their interests and their backgrounds. And if they're interested in volunteering in our office in Cicero, they can call us at 708-222-1491, and we will connect you with our volunteer coordinator.
I know you have truly an amazing staff that's incredibly dedicated to your mission, and I just wanted to say thank you so much for being on the show today to share some of those stories and tell us about your team and tell us about all the great things happening in the West Regional Office. You clearly are doing a lot of productive, dynamic things to make sure that the mission of Catholic Charities is fulfilled in the West Region. It's really inspiring, Mike.
Well, thank you, Katie. And one final shout out to the parish and community supporters and volunteers who make it possible, because we could not do it without them.
And clearly, hopefully, they'll watch the show today or watch the replay on YouTube and learn more about how important their work is and want to contribute more. That's what it's all about, isn't it? So much of volunteerism is coming in there and doing it because you see that the mission is so terrific, but then you actually get more out of it than you give, right? Isn't that what it's all about?
Absolutely.
And then you want to come back and do some more, right?
Absolutely. I think our volunteers will attest to the fact that it's just a wonderful, fulfilling experience for them, as well as being such an important source of help for us.
Well, clearly your leadership means an awful lot too, Mike, in the West Regional Office for all the good that's happening there. So congratulations on all the ways you've made it through the pandemic. And again, thank you so much for being on the show today to share all about the great things happening in the West Region.
Well, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me, Katie.
My pleasure as well. I also just wanted to take a second to give a shout out to the multimedia content team here at the Archdiocese of Chicago that makes the Voice of Charity happen every week. We always look forward for an opportunity to say thank you to Vince Girasoli, Mike May, Brian Brock, and Javier Garcia, who put this show together every week, and we never want to take it for granted that we're so grateful for their partnership in helping fulfill the mission of Catholic Charities. We look forward to seeing everyone again next week for another edition of The Voice of Charity. For now, this is Katie Bredemann, and on behalf of everyone at Catholic Charities, we wish you a great week ahead.
Join us every Monday through Friday at this time for Catholic Chicago. You can stream our programs live or listen to past programs by visiting our website, archchicago.org, and clicking on Radio TV. And please connect with Catholic Chicago on social media.